Yusuf, I understand you have that letter, and if you can just take us through that, and of course tell us the latest from that end in terms of the verification process of those forms 34. Yusuf.
Well, thanks, Ben. Of course, you're having a very healthy and informative discussion there at studio with your panelists, and they've basically discussed most of the things that has been, glaring. It has been happening openly here at the Bombers of Kenya, and that has to do with the disconnect that is between the IEBC chair and his commissioners. It did happen yesterday, when the IEBC chair indicated that he doesn't know that the system has been hacked into and that he's going to launch some sort of investigation. And then the CEO came forward and said that the system is intact. Today, the chair, in his briefing at about, was it 2:30 p.m., indicated that there was some sort of attempted hacking into the system. And then at 9 p.m. in another briefing, one of the commissioners dismissed that, saying that the system is very much intact. So what we're getting here, what we're learning here, is that there's some sort of disconnect between the chair and his commissioners. Of course, it's for our viewers to discuss that and make their own conclusion. But when one of the commissioners there was asked whether one of their staff members had hacked into the system or shared some sort of information or leaked information to the members of the opposition, and if they've taken any action against that individual, because the opposition have not yet made public who that person is. This is their response. They said that we've invested heavily on security of our system. We have no reason to look for anyone. They've remained adamant that the system is in place and is intact. Now, Ben, let me just go through to some of the nitty-gritty that has been the revelations, of course, that have been made by the IEBC chair and his team as far as updates are concerned. And this is what they had to say at as at 7 p.m. this evening. They've received a Form 34A from a total of 40,501 polling stations across the country, and they're saying they're going to upload those forms to their portal. And then again, they've said as out of 7 p.m. today again, they've received a total of 170 Form 34B out of the expected 290. Of course, this is the total number of the constituencies across the country. So they still have 120 more to cover. Now, over to something that has become some sort of an highlight of that briefing, and that is as far as a letter from the opposition to the commission is concerned. And the main message from that letter, Ben, is that the commission were demanding or rather the opposition are demanding that the commission to declare NASA presidential candidate Raila Odinga as the president and Kalonzo Musyoka as his deputy. And some of the details of that letter, it goes on and says that NASA has in its possession data from the IEBC servers and screenshots showing the results as displayed on the Commission's website and its displays at Bombers. That is what NASA had to say. So it's a very long letter. Let me just go through a bit of a reaction from the Commission. This is what the Commission's chair had to say. And he did say that the Commission reiterates that its commitment to strictly comply with the provisions of the Constitution and the law. In that regard, the Commission will only declare the results of the presidential election as directed by Article 130, subsection 3, C, excuse me, 138, subsection 10 of the Constitution. Now he's saying the Constitution and the law do not envisage a situation where a candidate in an election demands that he be declared the winner of an election based on results that he has provided to the Commission. A very interesting their exchange between, of course, the opposition and the Commission at a time when we do expect them to continue with the verification process. They've been very busy for the last 2 days. Of course, it's not just the IEBC staff. We have representatives from the various political parties as well as agents representing all the 8 presidential candidates, including those who've considered defeat today. Because from our analysis here, we learned that they need to have their representatives there because some of them, of course, want to learn from experience because they're also planning to eye the same sit come 2022. So, Ben, that's it as far as the updates from this National Tallying Center is concerned at a time when, the auditorium is still a beehive of activity. They've already received, again, 170 results from 170 results from 170 constituencies, I beg your pardon, and of course they're expecting 120 more to get to that mark of 290. So, as far as the next briefing is concerned, Ben, we're still waiting. Of course, the commissioner have already told us. The commissioners have already told us that they're going to have their next briefing at 5 a.m. Friday morning. So, we'll be here. We'll be keeping vigil just to make sure our viewers don't miss anything as far as updates from the National Tallying Center here at the Bomas of Kenya is concerned. Back to you, Ben.
Thank you, Yusuf Ibrahim at the National Tallying Center, the Bomas of Kenya, with the latest, of course, with that letter that was read earlier by the IEBC chair, Wafula Chebukati, and telling us the latest, the IEBC expecting or yet to receive results from 170 constituencies, 170 of the 290 constituencies. We'll take a quick commercial break here on the program. Don't go too far. When we return, we speak about the reactions or the reports